Humanity has already endured two global catastrophes. The First and Second World Wars forever changed the map of the world, reshaped political and economic structures, claimed millions of lives, and left behind priceless lessons. But what if the next global war is not just a distant memory of history, but a real threat waiting for us just around the corner? Have you ever wondered how your life would change if a global conflict engulfed the planet? Today we will try to imagine World War III, its possible causes, scenarios, modern weapons, tactics, and consequences. Some of these facts may shock you, so stay with us until the end. The modern world is radically different from what existed in 1914 or 1939. Technology, communication, global economic ties, and military capabilities have created new points of tension. World War III will not break out suddenly. There are always preconditions. Experts identify several key factors that could provoke a global conflict. Resources that once seemed inexhaustible are becoming critically scarce. Water, energy, strategic territories, rare minerals, all are subjects of fierce competition. Disputes over water resources in Central Asia or oil deposits in the Arctic could become the catalyst for serious confrontations. Geopolitical tension is constantly growing. The South China Sea, Taiwan, NATO's expansion to the east, all are potential flashpoints where conflict could erupt at any moment. Imagine waking up one morning to learn that the territory supplying your electricity and resources has fallen into a war zone. How much would your life change? Professor James Smith of the London School of Economics warns, the world today is extremely interconnected, and local crises can quickly escalate into global catastrophes. Modern warfare is no longer limited to tanks, artillery, and infantry. Cyber weapons and technological attacks can paralyze a country's critical infrastructure without a single shot being fired. Energy, financial systems, transport, and communications could become useless. Imagine weeks without electricity, chaos in transport, factories shutting down, and shortages of basic goods. Local unrest can easily grow into global conflicts through the involvement of allies and economic blocs. Drones and unmanned systems have changed the rules of the battlefield. They conduct reconnaissance, attack, and defend strategic sites, replacing human forces. Satellite systems allow coordinated strikes over vast territories, making conflicts fast and precise. Hybrid warfare adds even more chaos. Propaganda, disinformation, economic pressure, and even the threat of nuclear strikes keep the world in constant tension. Imagine that information attacks undermine trust in your city. Banks shut down, and access to resources becomes restricted. Possible scenarios of World War III. 1. Local escalation. A conflict between two countries quickly draws in allies and turns into a regional war with global consequences. 2. Cyber apocalypse. Attacks on energy, finance, and communications paralyze countries and provoke chaos. Millions of people are left without access to water, food, and banking services. 3. Limited nuclear conflict. Even a few strikes would bring catastrophic consequences for the climate, economy, and human life worldwide. Radiation contamination and global famine would become real threats. 4. Hybrid war. Cybercrime, economic pressure, and information attacks destabilize the globe, even with minimal direct casualties. The consequences for civilians would be devastating. Destruction of cities, millions of refugees, a humanitarian crisis, global economic collapse, and shortages of food and water. Psychological trauma and fear of the unknown would become part of everyday life. Even if your region is not directly affected, global markets, energy, and food supply chains would feel the impact. A 21st century war would have unprecedented environmental consequences. Nuclear explosions, chemical weapons, water and air pollution, ecosystem collapse, droughts, famine, and new pandemics all combine into a global threat. Modern technologies are fundamentally changing warfare. Artificial intelligence controls drones, predicts enemy actions, and coordinates communication. Biotechnology and genetically modified means could potentially create new types of weapons. Precision, speed, and strategic planning are becoming more important than army size. World War III would not be limited to nation-states. Global alliances, private military companies, and tech corporations would become active participants, providing intelligence, cyber defense, and technical support. Massive cyber attacks on banks, stock markets, energy, and transportation would pose severe risks to global stability. Fear, anxiety, and uncertainty would become everyday realities. Disinformation would undermine trust, and social structures would come under enormous strain. Psychological trauma would scar generations. Education, culture, and science would suffer. Universities would close. Libraries and research centers would be destroyed, and access to knowledge would be restricted. We have already endured 2 global catastrophes and gained invaluable experience. A third world war could change everything. Even local conflicts are capable of creating a domino effect, impacting energy and security worldwide. Global preparedness, awareness of possible scenarios, and international cooperation are the keys to the survival of civilization. Understanding the threats allows us to build a world where humanity can endure even the greatest trials. Experts advise, keep track of the news, understand the basics of survival, protect your data, and think critically. World War III is not just a movie plot. It is a real threat. Preparation, information, and the ability to unite will become the main tools for survival. Humanity still has a chance to change its future, but only if we act wisely and responsibly. And finally, the world we know today is fragile. Humanity seems to be standing on the edge. Just one spark is enough to change the map of the planet forever. But is everything truly so doomed? Are we really destined to repeat the horrors of the past? Let's reflect together. If we have already survived 2 global catastrophes, doesn't that mean we've been given a second chance to learn from our mistakes? History has warned us many times. All great wars did not start with one massive explosion, but with small steps, unnoticed conflicts that grew into true nightmares. But at the same time, history shows us something else. There is always a choice. The only question is whether humanity is ready to choose the path of peace. Imagine if world powers realized that a new global war would not be a victory, but a shared end. Even a small conflict today could spark a great fire. Nuclear arsenals, biological weapons, cyber attacks. These are not just frightening words, but real threats. And yet, in our hands, we still hold the tools to stop this scenario. Look around. International organizations, global conferences, diplomacy. These are not just formal meetings, but mechanisms that can still prevent catastrophe. And here, each of us has a role to play. Yes, even ordinary people matter. Have you ever thought that public opinion can influence government decisions? History has already seen moments when millions of people took to the streets to protest against war, and in doing so, changed the course of events. Now, let us imagine an alternative world. World War III never began. Instead of explosions and destruction, a new level of cooperation. Nations compete not in weapons, but in science, medicine, and space exploration. Instead of military columns, high-speed trains and new technologies. Instead of fear, progress. Does it sound utopian? Perhaps, but it is precisely such utopias that push humanity forward. Once, space travel also seemed like a dream, and today we watch Mars live-streamed. So what must we understand? The future is not predetermined. It is not written in stone. Yes, we live in an era when the news daily reminds us of conflicts, tensions, and threats. But at the same time, we live in an age when knowledge, resources, and technology give us a chance to avoid the greatest catastrophe in history. The main question is, can we stop in time? Can we overcome our own ambitions for the sake of preserving life? Are politicians ready to abandon aggression in favor of cooperation? And this is where your opinion matters. What do you think, friends? Are we doomed to a third world war? Or do we still have a chance to change the course of history? Write in the comments how you see the future of humanity. Will the 21st century become an age of destruction or an age of unity? The future is still in our hands. Well then, until next time.